Welcome to the MySwimPro State of the Company. It's July 19th, 2021. So at any point, you can write down your questions. We'll have a little bit of a Q&A at the end discussion. I've really enjoyed doing these State of the Companies. Initially, I did one, and I think it was the beginning or end of the year. And then I decided twice a year is more appropriate because the landscape is changing, strategy is changing. It's a good opportunity to reflect on what we've done. I may actually do these every quarter, and it's sort of like a quarterly recap and what we're looking for in the next quarter. Either way, here it is. The last one we did for reference was December of 2020. So it's about 7 months, but this is like the mid-year. And so in typical fashion, we have an outline. We're going to start with our why. We'll talk about the golden circle. I love recapping that. Then we'll share some highlights of the first part of the year, part one of 2021, what the goals are for the rest of 2021, and then how we're thinking about the future of not only MySwimPro, but the future of the swimming market and how we fit into that exciting puzzle. So that's for context of where we're going. And like I said, write down any questions or comments or anything you want to bring up later, and we'll come back to it. So let's start with the golden circle. And I've talked about this now several times. And, on the surface level, I think a lot of people understand, well, some people don't, but what MySwimPro is, what MySwimPro does. We help people get better at swimming. We coach people in swimming. We think about what would coach do. And, if someone asks, like when people ask me like, oh, what do you do? I coach people in swimming. That's what I tell them. And if someone asks like, oh, MySwimPro, like what, I follow them on Instagram. What are they sharing about? What are they doing on YouTube? Things like that. We help people get better at swimming. And I think that's relatively simple to understand. And then, well, how do we do that? Well, we create software, we create mobile apps, wearable apps that deliver a personalized coaching experience for people at a fraction of the cost of hiring a personal coach. And we help people improve their performance and health. And that's how we do the thing that we describe as we coach people in swimming. And that's really interesting. And then if we dig deeper, well, why do we do that? And because we believe that through this intersection of technology and also swimming, that we can empower our community members and the people who use the app and watch our videos, they can lead happier and healthier lives. And we can empower these people to aspire to their individual gold medal moments. And, we start out all hands every single week. Charlie presents 3 gold medal moments. These are our community members who have found success from the work that we do. And so this is really important to come back to, because on the surface, this like the what we do and how we do it, that changes over time. So if you think about, external factors that can, penetrate this circle. So like you guys can see my mouth. So like if something comes in and attacks the what you do and the how you do it, for example, a global pandemic, right? The pool is shut down. So the why is the same. We want to empower people to lead happier and healthier lives. That doesn't change. If there's a once in 100-year health crisis, if technology changes. So for example, when MySwimPro started, the Apple Watch didn't even exist. And so the what and how is really can form and change over time based on, what's happening with the market, what's happening with the brand perception and things like that. So if a pandemic hits, if technology comes and goes, that will change. But the core, the why, that's always really consistent. And we talk about these gold medal moments of our amazing community members. And so to go a little bit deeper into, pun intended, into our gold medal moments, I chose a few over the last 6 months. Charlie actually has a really hard job. It's an easy and hard job to choose gold medal moments because there's so many of them. If you just go to our Facebook group, these are all basically screenshots from there. There's so many of them. And what we can do from a product development perspective and also marketing is understand how people are using what we do, how they're using the app, how they're interpreting our content, and then how we can make it better and what they're really deriving value from. So, even if I mentioned you can take notes, but I have actually a few slides like this. And I think it's really helpful as we go through them to think about, like, why are they saying what they say? Like, what is the true motivation and what are they really looking for? How are we delivering that value? And then on top of that, where are we falling short? Or what are some unexpected ways that we should actually be able to do even more than they expect, that they don't even, our members don't even realize that we can deliver that kind of value but it's maybe clear from, you know, reading so many of these posts and seeing the story. So let's get into it. So the first one is by John here. And if you guys remember, he posted a selfie video in his car, and he talked about, you know, basically he's had some challenges in his life, and he could barely swim, you know, one length. And eventually he worked his way up to doing a full mile. And I remember his video was really touching, because he talks about how this is, you know, overcoming adversity in life, and how he wanted to share that with our community, and how, you know, he says, I love the app and the group, and he wanted to post that this was something that could encourage other people. So, you know, thousands of people saw this post in his video, and it's like that feedback loop of people see positive words, and then it feeds their own ambition, and they're empowered, and then they go do something, and then they post about it, and et cetera, and et cetera. Here's Abby. She was able to complete the beginner weight loss plan. She started, couldn't even do 100 yards, and then she finished doing 500. So similar story to John, taking on a lot more. Here's Julia. She finished her 500th workout. She's a MySwimPro ambassador, by the way. And so she talks about how she loves the community. She's happy to be here and share her swimming journey with everyone. Here's Bree. Not bad after 12 years off. This app is amazing. So there's a comeback story as well. There's people who are making progress, and there's people who have found the motivation to make a comeback. And I'll come back to the comeback element in a little bit, and you guys will see how it all ties together. Here's a few different app reviews. The best swimming app on the market. There's simply nothing like it. The motivation and accountability. And here's another review hyping up the customer service team is on point. So that's a shout out to Charlie and everyone supporting the community members. Here's another one of our ambassadors for making, on a more competitive side of things, you know, top 10 in the world rankings in her age group. So she is competing in masters competition. So a more competitive athlete as well. And then also on the, you know, fitness comeback side, I've been sitting comfortably around 2K per workout for a while, decided to give a little push, longest workout in 30 years. So I remember seeing that one, and I mentioned it in the all hands. I'm like, that's older than, you know, half the people on this call. So, you know, to see the longevity and the comeback and all that is really cool. Here's Chris, you know, not being able to, you know, break up their swimming, and they finished the IMX Pro workout. They're doing the training plans, and they're making progress. Also, don't discount the videos and workout plans. They're absolute gold. So that's awesome. People think our workouts are gold. That's great. And here's Megan, back in the pool after 2 weeks, feels great. Just realized the app will show individual splits within each set. So this is one of those examples of we're delivering value. We're in some ways exceeding expectation, but at the same time, why didn't they know that they had those splits? You know, so there's opportunities here to educate and share the value that we already have, and bring these features and experiences to life in ways that we're already doing, in ways that we're not doing right now. Here's Anne, beat my time in the 200 by 8 seconds. That's awesome. That's a lot of time, 8 seconds. Here's another quote. MySwimPro is fun with lots of interesting email content. Started with Elite in November 2020. Did dryland training, working through new plans, creating custom workouts, returning to the pool with new skills. So very, very exciting to read all these. Here's another slide. Now, Christy, you know, this, when you read this, it's like a wall of text. So when you see this, I actually really like reading these, because someone put in a lot of effort here. They want to, there's a message that they want to showcase to the world and to the community for whatever their intention is. So when you see something that's like really long, there's normally good details. So they talk about, you know, their story. At first, I couldn't swim 25 yards without feeling like I was going to swallow a whole pool of water. And then they downloaded the MySwimPro app, and then they discovered that they love swimming, and their time in the pool is my favorite part of the day. And, you know, that's great. And then they say at the end, whatever level you're at, go get in that pool and swim your heart out. So, you know, when you look at these longer posts, and here's, you know, what a week, decided to start swimming again after 20 years out of the pool. I got this app. You see these stories, and you start to paint a picture of who the members are that we're actually helping. You know, it's great if someone posts just like a picture, but when they have these words or a video, it's really cool to see, you know, who is this person? Here's someone down 22 pounds. It's Carol. Look, Carol is in there. Today she swam her first ever 1K workout. It's awesome. All right, let's keep moving. So we have Jess. And here's another, longer multi-paragraph thing. She says, I'm not really one to share, in groups like this, but she felt compelled and inspired to go ahead and do that. Thank you everyone on here for the stories, comments, questions to help stay motivated and inspired to get back into swimming. Here's Claudia talking about how she's improved her efficiency, her speed. She went from 217 to 213. Here's Abby doing the weight loss plan. This is interesting. She was unmotivated to get in the water, but she managed to do it and has been making progress. And I think, yep. So in summary, a lot of gold medal moments. There were so many to pick from. I picked a few. Hopefully some trends, emerge and, reconfirms some of the things that we're working towards and where we can help our members and where we can improve. So let's go back in time and let's look at the first 2 quarters of 2021. Now, Q1, I divided this into a few areas. So business, market, product, brand. So on the business side, some things that impacted us were, Apple new commissions. So we have a higher profit margin in the short term with Apple. So that's supporting our revenue. And something else that happened was the decline in subscriptions reversed. So in March, we started to see an increase in our subscription rate. And so if you look at the graph and the arrow that I have here, so it's easy to look at this graph now and point to where the arrow is pointing and be like, that's where something changed. That's where pools started reopening. That's where, the marketing picked up even more. But if you were to look at this graph in March, all you would see is 14 consecutive months of decline. So when you see a trend reversal, they say the trend is your friend. So this is like a really big deal because even though, some things we control, some things we don't control, that was a significant move, I guess, in the business and the market specifically. And at the time in Q1, there was certainly uncertainty, more uncertainty than there is now. But the vaccines were starting to roll out, especially in the US. And there was a glimmer of hope that things would be reopening in some cases faster than people were initially thinking, especially in some markets like the United States. On the product side, Steve really introduced this concept of what would coach do. And we think about the product from that perspective. And we also, build out this analytics pipeline. There's a screenshot of Kibana with some colorful looking graphs, worked on our engineering process so that we could build a foundation for what we're working on right now. And then on the brand side, we had 8 new ambassadors join in Q1, which is kind of crazy. I didn't remember it was that many. We started doing bigger business development deals, so additional diversified revenue there. And we got some features with Apple and Men's Health. There's a screenshot of the developer spotlight that Apple wrote that piece that they continue to market for whatever reason, which we'll take it. So that's really good to see that kind of PR as well. And also Adam was in a podcast. Paige was also in an interview as well. So cool to see some of that on the media side. So that was Q1. And then when we move into Q2, on the business side, we continue to see that subscriber growth. And we had 2 new team members join. So we have Kaylee and Gisela. Welcome to the party. In terms of the market, we definitely have a little bit more certainty around what's happening with pools, the Olympics. The Olympics are going to happen most likely because the athletes are already there. So that's good. And we're starting to see consumer behavior shift. Now maybe you don't need to reserve a reservation. You don't need a reservation at a pool. You can kind of just swim whenever you want. So, the market dynamics are changing. There's more certainty. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. And then on the product side, we launched Mixed new training plans. We're working on the dynamic workout screen that's in progress and that foundation for some other things that are going to come out. And then on the brand side, we've been very consistent. The growth is there. It's obvious. We have the new upsell screen here. I have a screenshot there. New training plans for the Olympic themed training plans. We also had these cool GIFs in Instagram, including the crazy ones of me, which are awesome. So shout out to Lorenza for doing those. And yeah, we passed 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. This graph here at the bottom is, it's more impressive than what this graph looks. This is the total number of subscribers in the last year on YouTube. So the y-axis, I mean, this is pretty dramatic, right? Like the fact that one is 20,000, one's 170,000, and the slope of the curve, if you were to do the slope, the change in slope especially is very, very exciting. So that's really cool. And so as we project forward, this all matters as we have a forward-looking view as to where we're going. But this is just a quick recap of where we were in the first 6 months of 2021. So the next question becomes, where are we going? Are we getting off on the exit, or are we driving in a straight line? I don't know if that analogy fits, but you guys get what I'm saying. So this is a screenshot I actually took from the state of the company 7-8 months ago. So this is from December. So that's why I put duplicate. So this is what we said. This is what I said, that is the future of swimming looks like. There's 3 scenarios that are going to play out over the next year. And I projected that we were most likely looking at scenario B. This is the most realistic. So think about the context of where we were in the end of 2020 compared to where we are now. And I think we nailed it. I think it's pretty accurate that, about, a quarter to half of pools in the world are still closed. And some are opening up in the summer. They're opening up now. They're going to open, especially when you look at it from an international perspective. The general public will get back to some kind of normal next year. Some places in the US are already pretty much normal. Unvaccinated areas are probably going to be more delayed than that. We're looking at more of a scenario C in other parts of the world that are slower to vaccinate. And the Olympic Games will happen with some restrictions. And that's exactly what's going to happen. The Olympics are going to happen, and there's going to be no one there to watch. But people are going to be watching from home, and so we get most of the benefit from that. So it's important to now, okay, so fast forward now. So now that we have like a new assessment, like where are we at today? So these are some of the realities of the current market of swimming. So number one, a majority of pools in the United States are open, and in high vaccination areas, things are getting back to normal. In areas where there's lower vaccinations, especially outside the US, we shouldn't be surprised if there's reclosures in the fall, especially outside the United States. That's likely to happen. And so that's why bullet point number 2 is, internationally, a good chunk of pools are going to stay closed until next year. We shouldn't be surprised when we see the headlines in October and November, things are reclosing. And a lot of that has to do with vaccination, non-vaccination. Bullet point number 3, the Olympic Games are happening, and we are going to benefit wildly from the uptick in exposure. This is really going to help not only from people paying attention to swimming and Google searching it and our website being ranked way higher, but also I think there's a positive mentality when you have the world coming together. I think with Euro Cup or, and some of the soccer stuff that happened a few weeks ago, I felt a little bit of that. I think the Olympics will be at a much larger scale where the world is watching the same event, and you have countries and people are winning medals. And, when it's, especially in a country that's not the US, winning a medal, it's like a really big deal. And, everyone celebrates that. And so I think that celebration is going to be just good, positive energy that the world needs. And I think that's going to be really exciting. And then number 4 is something that is actually a little bit slower than I projected, but consumer behavior hasn't changed in terms of like people who stop swimming. The hardcore people bounce back as soon as the pool's open. But there's a lot of people who are thinking about taking on swimming, and they've decided to just hold off on that until things kind of normalize, and basically just adding another excuse not to go swimming or not to start a swimming program or something like that. So I think we're going to see this into next year. And all of that leads into what I call the comeback tidal wave. I know we've talked about like the wave, but what I see actually 3 catalysts all happening at the same time over the next 3 to 6 months. So like the first one is obviously the Olympics. So in swimming, especially like USA Swimming well documents this, there's like a 3 to 6 month honeymoon period after the Olympic Games. So USA Swimming typically sees a 10% increase in membership in the year following the Olympic Games. So actually it was 11% after 2008 to 2009. And a lot of people credit like Michael Phelps's ridiculous 8-medal haul, and he got so much media coverage and like everyone was talking about swimming. But every Olympics, there's this out of normal lift, and that normally happens for 3 to 6 months. Then you have the COVID pandemic, hopefully wrapping up type of thing. And so pools are reopening, and some pools have already reopened. This is more of like a 12-month window. So some pools have already reopened. some are not open. Some will be opening in a few months, some in a year. And so that's happening at the same time. And then you have the New Year resolutions that we always see an uptick in January anyway. Even if there's no Olympics, if there's no pool reopenings, there's always an increase in January and February for like that, New Year's goals thing. So we have three things happening all at the same time. And there's a honeymoon period of like 3 to 6 months. So basically moving into 2022, these are the things that we have. And so if you think about like a tidal wave, you want to be riding the wave. So I'm not like a pro surfer, but I know that this person missed the wave. This person is not on the wave. They're watching the wave unfold. But if they were good at surfing, they would have been in the wave. They would have been eating the curl or whatever they call that. So we want to make sure that we're inside of the wave. So that way the wave pushes you. And here's another analogy. You have the wind in your sails. So if you like sailboats, imagine the wind is, so there's 3 gusts of wind that are all happening at the same time. And you don't want to be in the center of the hurricane, to throw a third analogy. You want to be leveraging the momentum. And so that's really important. So how do we do that? How do we leverage the tidal wave, and how do we make sure we're riding the wave? So, basically this is the company's strategy in one slide. 3 perspectives. We've got the company, the product, and marketing. To start at the top, overall, we're going to significantly expand our engineering resources over the next 6 to 12 months. So our velocity and quality should increase, and we'll talk about how we're going to do that. The way we're going to support, not only building the brand, but building the company and being able to finance additional engineering resources is through the community investment round that we're doing right now on WeFunder that should actually start today or tomorrow. So still working on the logistics of that, but that's going to, allow us to increase our cash supply and be able to go on the offense and be a lot more aggressive rather than reactionary on the engineering front. And so understanding that as like the company focus and what we're working towards on the product side, how are we going to support that? And it comes back to what would coach do, and referencing all of those gold medal moments and all the value that we deliver, basically doing more of that and even doing more surprise and delight so that members can get even more value of all the things that we're doing. Now, if we look at these 2 bullet points, I actually have on the next slide a cleaner version of showing this, but it most immediately on Q3, we're working on the new onboarding flow. We're going to transition to this levels format and building out dynamic workouts. So that's kind of, step 1 of this. And then some of the other things coming up beyond that, it'll be easier to look at on the next slide. And then on the marketing side of things, we always talk about product marketing and brand marketing. So on the product side of marketing, really starting to focus on behavioral marketing. So that'll improve, that basically means, smart push notifications rather than right now, we just send a push notification when we want to send a push notification, but basically having automation and, sort of like a CRM around our members' data and using some software that we don't currently use. So that way we can focus on these things like retention and engagement of existing members. And then once we have the right software in place on the marketing side, we can start to do more performance marketing, which we're not really doing any right now. And for reference, performance marketing means paid advertising. So Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, insertions like that. And, you can't really do that unless A, you have an improved product experience that has a higher conversion rate and higher retention. And B, you have the right analytics stack and CRM for behavioral marketing. So that way you can get the most value out of that. So that's the direction we're going on the product marketing. And then on the brand side, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. Thought leaders in the world, educate, entertain, and inspire people the way that we know how to do best. So this is the highest level company strategy. Did mention that tidal wave, or the 3 concentric, I don't know if it's concentric, but the 3 waves happening at the same time over the next 3 to 6 months. And we don't want to be this guy. I'm sure he's a great guy, but he doesn't know what he's doing. He missed the wave. And so it's ironic that Paige is probably surfing right now in San Diego. So Paige is surfing the wave. That's what it should look like. So you're supposed to be on the wave. That's a really big wave. I don't know if you can surf waves like that. But anyway, so we want to be surfing the wave. And the strategy and the timeline and some of the things I talked about, if we can execute we're certainly going to be riding the wave. And by the way, Paige isn't the only one who can surf. Steve can surf too. Steve is like, I can. So Steve is surfing the wave too. You know what? We're all going to be surfing the wave. And so there's Adam. Who's next? Oh, there's me. I can surf too. And there's Charlie. He's surfing. Who do we got next? Carol. Carol just joined. And then we've got Gisela. There we go. Nice form. Good technique. There's Max. Wow, Max's head looks huge on that guy. I like it. And then there's Lorenza with the shades. I like it. There's Mike. Mike's looking the wrong way. You're supposed to look at, anyway. And there's Kaylee. And there's Dan. And who's next? Oh, there's Ben. And there's Taylor. Look at that. Taylor's hair is even flying. So we're all surfing down the wave together. It's going to be great. But you have to paddle up front to catch the wave. And so I think with the strategy and the game plan that we have now, we'll be able to successfully pivot to MySwimPro. No, I'm kidding. So we're not going to do MySwimPro. We're going to do MySwimPro still. But you guys hopefully get the point here. We want to make sure we're executing on all these timeline things, because I believe that the strategy that's laid out will position us to ride the wave. And that's what we want to do, because we can help our members improve their performance and health, live happier and healthier lives, and we'll all do it together. It's going to be great.
I hope this video was super informative. I wish you guys the best of luck in anything that you pursue. Thanks again for your time, and happy swimming.